Module 1, Lesson 24 has us look at how we've been working with rates and ratios and using those models to actually convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. The objectives for Lesson 24 is that you understand that percents are related to part-to-whole ratios and rates, where the whole is 100, and that's because of 100% would be all of something. And you can model percents as a fraction over 100 or a decimal to the hundredths place, which is 2 places after the decimal. So you have an example here. We have 35 blocks out of 100 would be written as the fraction 35 over 100. 35 hundredths would be 0.35, which is 35%. Next example, 50 blocks out of 100 would be 50 out of 100 or 50 hundredths, which is written as 0.50, which is also 50%. 15 blocks out of 100 would be 15 over 100 or 15 hundredths, which is written as 0.15 with the last number in the hundredths place, and that's 15%. And down here we have 7 out of 10 could be written as 7 tenths. And we want our tenths then to become a 100 because the percents have to be out of 100. And so we need to make the whole or the denominator 100. 10 times 10 gives me 100, making an equivalent fraction. I have to do the same to both. So that's 7 times 10 gives me 70 out of 100 or 70 hundredths, which is 0.70, which is also 70%. We have 13 out of 20, which would be 13 twentieths, which again, we need to have 100 as the denominator. So I take 20 times 5 gives me 100. 13 times 5 gives me 65. That is 65 hundredths, which can be written as 0.65. Then we have 65%. Now, what I want to do is show you, in the cases where you don't have a denominator of 100, you can use the proportions or the ratio table to determine it if you aren't quickly able to tell what to multiply by. So I'm just going to do the example proportion and ratio table for this last one. So our ratio table then, we would show part and whole. And the part we have is 13, the whole is 20, and we need to get it out of 100 so that we can do 100% or what percent it is out of 100. And so then we just do our divide. We get 5. We take 13 times 5, we get our 65, and that would be 65%, and the 65 hundredths right there. And you would just rewrite it as a fraction, then as the percent, or a decimal, and then the percent. You also can do a proportion, and the proportion would then be, you'd still have your part whole, and because the denominator is the whole, then that means it has to be 100 on this side, and then we're looking for that. So you cross multiply. That's 13 times 100, which is 1,300. We then have to divide by what's left. That's 1,300 divided by 20, and you would get 65. And again, that's 65 hundredths, which can be written as a decimal, which is also 65%.